Of all the threats to our national security that our defense programs are designed to meet, that posed by the Soviet Union is by far the most serious and the most immediate. For more than a quarter century now, the Soviet Union has dedicated its highest national priority to increasing and strengthening and maintaining and modernizing its offensive military power. It was in 1981, and acting on the suggestion of my NATO defense minister colleagues, that the Department of Defense published the first edition of Soviet Military Power. Soviet Military Power is an authoritative annual report which monitors developments in Soviet conventional, theater nuclear, and strategic nuclear weapons systems. It examines the organization and the doctrine and the strategy for the employment of these forces and the industrial base and the resource allocations which underpins their growth, and it assesses the increasing abilities of the Soviets to project their military power far beyond the national boundaries of the Soviet Union. And now, with the publication of Soviet Military Power for 1987, we have highlighted the new report's principal findings in this brief video summary. This summary and the more detailed printed publications will ensure that free peoples everywhere have the fullest possible understanding of Soviet military power and its implications for our security and our freedoms.
A new generation of Mach 2 interceptors and fighters, twin-engine jets with improved range and acceleration, carrying radars and missiles with new capabilities against cruise missiles and low-flying aircraft. The flanker and the fulcrum dramatically represent the important strides the Soviet Union is making in the introduction of advanced weapons systems. The USSR continues to make comparable advances throughout its military forces, forces that will support its military doctrine, that if a war is to be fought, the Soviets will prevail. Secretary Mikhail Gorbachev has moved rapidly to place his personal stamp on Soviet national policy, a policy that reaffirms the Soviet state's full commitment to develop, support, and sustain highly efficient armed forces. To meet this objective, the Soviets dedicate significant resources to their military, so much so that an estimated 15 to 17% of their gross national product goes to their military budget, a significant figure compared to the 6% of the GNP that the United States spends on defense. The Soviet military budget supports increasingly more capable weapon systems and military forces that go far beyond any forces justifiable for defense purposes. Systems designed for the entire spectrum of offensive strategic, theater nuclear, and conventional conflicts. Soviet forces include strategic nuclear forces, strategic defense forces, space forces, ground forces, air forces, and the Navy. Offensive strategic nuclear forces consist of land-based ballistic missiles, sea-based ballistic missiles, heavy bombers, and cruise missiles. The current Soviet ICBM force consists of a wide range of missiles. Some 1,400 silo and mobile launchers exist to deploy these missiles. More than 800 of these silo launchers were hardened to protect the SS-17s, SS-18s, and SS-19s from attack. Rebuilding these silos greatly enhanced the missile's survivability. New mobile intercontinental ballistic missiles and nuclear-armed cruise missiles are entering the force. The number of warheads deployed with strategic forces will increase about 2,000 by the end of this decade. As the Soviets improve their ICBM inventory, they continue to seek greater missile mobility. In fact, the Soviets have been perfecting mobile missile deployment techniques since the early 1960s. The most recent deployment is a fifth-generation Road Mobile SS-25 missile with about 100 launchers already operational. The rail-mobile SSX-24 is being flight tested. Each SSX-24 missile will be armed with up to 10 independently targetable nuclear warheads. An extensive rail system is being expanded to accommodate the imminent mobile deployment of this missile. The SSX-24 will also be deployed in silos. Test flights also have begun for a follow-on to the SS-18 Mod 4 ICBM. This missile will carry at least 10 warheads and have greater accuracy and throw weight than its predecessors, features that increase its effectiveness against U.S. ICBM silos and other hardened targets. The USSR's ICBM force continues to modernize and diversify. The number of deliverable nuclear warheads on its intercontinental missiles steadily increases. This trend will continue as the Soviets introduce new generations of more accurate, more survivable ICBM systems. The USSR deploys the world's largest ballistic missile submarine force. As of 1987, this consists of 61 modern ballistic missile submarines carrying 916 nuclear-tipped missiles. Among these submarines are the Yankee 1 and Yankee 2 classes, the Delta 1, Delta 2, Delta 3, and Delta 4, and the Typhoon class. 3 of the newest class submarine, the Delta 4, are operating. A 4th has been launched. Each carries 16 SSN-23 missiles. Each missile has 10 nuclear warheads with greater accuracy and throw weight than its predecessors. The Typhoon, at 25,000 tons displacement, is the largest submarine in the world. It is 1.5 times the length of a football field. The Typhoon carries 20 SSN-20 solid propellant MIRV missiles. Each missile contains 6 to 9 nuclear warheads. 3 Typhoons are operational. A 4th is now fitting out, and a 5th has been launched. Of the entire Soviet strategic missile submarine force, more than 2/3 carry longer-range missiles, allowing them to remain close to the Soviet Union while still being able to strike targets throughout the United States. The modernization of the USSR strategic submarine force progresses at a brisk pace. Each innovation brings with it new and more accurate submarine-launched nuclear warheads. The Soviets have been increasing the capabilities of their strategic bomber force. The Backfire, one of their most modern supersonic bombers, can perform nuclear strike, conventional attack, anti-ship, and reconnaissance missions. The new Bear H marks a major upgrade of the Soviet strategic bomber force. This long-range turboprop bomber, with an unrefueled combat radius of 8,300 kilometers, is the first new production of a strike version of the Bear airframe in over 15 years. It has had an intercontinental mission carrying the nuclear-armed AS-15 long-range cruise missile since its deployment in 1984. Bear H bombers have been observed in training flights simulating attacks against the North American continent. Approximately 50 Bear H aircraft are now with operational forces. The USSR is pressing ahead with a new generation of manned strategic bombers. The supersonic Blackjack bomber is capable of carrying cruise missiles and bombs. It is now being flight tested and could be operational as early as 1988. The Blackjack is also expected to carry the AS-15, the same long-range cruise missile carried by the Bear H. The AS-15 is an air-launched subsonic low-altitude cruise missile. Its range is about 3,000 kilometers. Development continues on sea and ground-launched versions of the AS-15. The sea-launched cruise missile, the SS-NX-21, is small enough to be fired from standard Soviet torpedo tubes. The ground-launched cruise missile will soon become operational. It is being developed as a mobile system and will be used to support theater operations in Eurasia. Test launchings for a larger sea-based cruise missile, the SS-NX-24, are conducted from a reconfigured Yankee-class nuclear submarine. The Soviets have also persisted in modernizing and upgrading their longer-range, intermediate-range nuclear force, as well as their shorter-range ballistic missiles. There are approximately 112 SS-4 longer-range, intermediate-range nuclear force launchers in the Western Soviet Union. While the SS-4s do not have mobility, the intermediate-range SS-20s do. 441 SS-20 launchers are deployed, each missile fitted with 3 very accurate and independently targetable warheads. Each warhead has a 5,000-kilometer range. These mobile launchers can operate both on and off the road. Survivability is therefore greatly enhanced. Additionally, a more accurate SS-20 follow-on missile is being developed. Vigorous activity and test firings indicate this missile could be operational soon. Shorter-range ballistic missiles are being modernized with new SS-21 and SS-23 launchers. The SS-21 is replacing the Frog and the SS-23, the Scud. The scaleboard has been deployed from the Soviet Union into Eastern Europe, giving the missile an even greater strike depth into Western Europe. The increased range, accuracy, and coverage potential of these short-range ballistic missiles adds still another dimension to the growing spectrum of Soviet offensive strategic nuclear forces. Against the background of these sweeping offensive nuclear force developments, the Soviet Union makes an equal commitment to its strategic defense forces. Benefiting from extensive R&D, the Soviet defense effort overshadows that of the United States. Consider, for example, their laser program. Over 10,000 scientists and engineers at major test ranges and facilities are involved. Laser research includes potential applications to air defense, satellite impairment, and ballistic missile defense. The Soviets maintain the world's most extensive early warning system for both ballistic missile and air defense. Ballistic missile early warning systems include a launch detection satellite network, over-the-horizon radars, and a series of large phased array radars primarily on the periphery of the Soviet Union. The Launch Detection Satellite Network and the over-the-horizon radars both provide 30 minutes of tactical warning for any U.S. ICBM launch. The system of 9 large phased array radars forms an arc of coverage that extends from the Kola Peninsula in the northwest, around Siberia, to the Caucasus in the southwest. This entire radar network should be operational soon. Capabilities also include 11 large henhouse detection and tracking radars. These radars are able to distinguish size of attack, confirm satellite and over-the-horizon radar warnings, and provide target tracking data to Soviet strategic defense forces. The Soviets maintain the world's only operational ballistic missile defense system. The USSR's new 2-layer system employs silo-based missiles capable of attacking incoming missiles both inside and outside the Earth's atmosphere. The systems are guided by radars dedicated to ballistic missile defense. As permitted by the ABM Treaty, there will be 100 ABM launchers in this system. Soviet strategic defense interests and efforts and other military programs extend far into space. Currently, the Soviet space efforts center on anti-satellite warfare, targeting, command, control, communications, and intelligence, meteorological and navigational support, and strategic defense. The Soviets can use ground-launched weapons to attack satellites in low-altitude orbit. Currently, they could launch several of these satellite interceptors daily. The Soviet Union continues to make impressive strides in space station technology. With Mir, they carried out the world's first space station crew rotation. And with its 6 docking ports, Mir provides the core for modular station expansion. Space stations can offer a variety of advantages and capabilities to military commanders. With observers on board, optics systems can be operated to provide 2-way, real-time intelligence, allowing for monitoring of airfields, port facilities, and other major transportation assets. With 8 launch systems in their inventory, the Soviets are developing 2 more. One is a Titan-class launcher, capable of lifting 15 tons. It will probably become the main booster for a space plane now in development. The Soviets have test-orbited an unmanned scale model of the space plane several times, with recoveries at sea. Possible missions for the space plane include reconnaissance, crew transport, satellite repair, anti-satellite operations, and a role as a manned space station defender. They are also testing a heavy-lift Saturn-class vehicle. Able to lift more than 100 tons, it will carry a Soviet space shuttle and other large space station payloads. Both the shuttle and the booster are currently undergoing aerodynamic testing. Soviet efforts in space research and development leave little doubt that they intend to be able to extend their exploitation both in near and deep space for military purposes. Along with their emphasis on strategic capabilities, the USSR continues to modernize its conventional forces. The Soviet Union traditionally views ground forces as a fundamental, primary component of military power. Not surprisingly, the Soviet Army is the largest branch. The Soviet Army includes 2 million men, over 200 motorized rifle, tank, and airborne divisions, and over 53,000 main battle tanks. More than one-third of the tanks are the latest T-64, T-72, and T-80s. They feature the largest tank main gun in existence, increased survivability, including reactive armor, and fire control systems incorporating laser range finders. Both the T-80 and the T-64 can fire an anti-tank guided missile through the main gun. The Soviets have about 47,000 artillery pieces, mortars, and multiple rocket launchers with their operational forces. Front commanders also have available nuclear-capable artillery, including 152mm self-propelled howitzers and towed guns, 203mm self-propelled guns, and 240mm self-propelled mortars. Innovations in Soviet operational concepts include increased emphasis on deep operations behind main battle lines. They are upgrading and expanding their helicopter forces to support such operations. New attack helicopters include the Hip and the Hind, armed with anti-tank missiles and rockets. The Hind also carries a multi-barrel 12.7mm turreted nose gun. Maximizing the potential of their helicopters, the Soviets use them as airborne command posts for electronic jamming, as well as for attack and transport missions. One heavily armed new attack helicopter, the Mi-28 Havoc, is expected to be deployed in the near future. Another, the Hokum helicopter, may add a significant new attack dimension against opposing helicopters. Efficient mobility, transportation, and sustainability are key factors in an Army's success. New additions to the USSR's military air transportation forces, such as the AN-124 Condor, help them achieve their goals. The Condor will carry up to 150 metric tons and will accommodate outsized weapons, such as the SS-20 Transporter Erector Launcher, tanks, missiles, and other critical equipment and supplies. Coupled with this increased mobility is sustainability. The Soviets have developed an extensive support structure. Storage depots stock 27,000 meters of bridging equipment, 13 million tons of arms and ammunition, 16 million metric tons of gasoline, oil, and lubricants, 6,800 tanks and armored personnel carriers, 17,000 artillery and anti-aircraft weapons, and nuclear warhead stockpile concentrations, material sufficient to support intense offensive operations for up to 90 days. Soviet air forces play a critical role in warfare planning. Over 700 long-range and medium-range bombers, over 5,200 fighters and fighter bombers, some 2,250 interceptors, and nearly 600 transport aircraft are employed. The Air Forces continue to improve their tactical aircraft. New generations of fighter bombers and fighter interceptors are being added. The Mach 2 Su-27 Flanker and the MiG-29 Fulcrum with true look-down, shoot-down radar carry long-range and shorter-range air-to-air missiles. Introduction earlier this decade of the MiG-31 Foxhound Homeland Defense Interceptor has been yet another indicator of the Soviet Air Force's transition to increasingly more capable combat aircraft. Investing heavily in increasingly more capable air defense weapons, the Soviets now have 9,000 strategic surface-to-air missile launchers, nearly 5,000 tactical surface-to-air missile launchers, and 10,000 air defense radars. They also employ highly mobile SAMs for air defense. The mobile SA-12A is intended to intercept aircraft at all altitudes. The SA-12 system's second missile, the SAX-12B Giant, currently under development, will be able to intercept aircraft, cruise missiles, tactical ballistic missiles, and possibly some strategic ballistic missiles. Other long-range systems include the SA-5 and the fixed-site and mobile SA-10. Soviet strategic surface-to-air missiles are designed to provide a layered barrier defense under all weather conditions. These missiles can intercept cruise missiles, tactical ballistic missiles, aircraft at all altitudes, and some types of strategic ballistic missiles. Perhaps nowhere is the modernization of the Soviet military as evident as in their Navy, where mobility and endurance now provide the Soviets with worldwide power projection. A major contributor to Soviet naval expansion is their submarine force, the world's largest, with 373 submarines now operational. 9 different classes of submarines are being produced or tested. The newest cruise missile attack submarine is the Oscar class. This 16,000-ton submarine carries 24 nuclear-capable cruise missiles with 550 kilometers range. 4 Oscar-class submarines have been launched. The Soviet Navy also has about 700 surface combat ships, including nearly 300 principal surface combatants, helicopter cruisers, 200 patrol combatants, more than 80 amphibious ships, 125 mine warfare ships, and 4 Kiev-class aircraft carriers. The 37,000-ton Kiev-class carrier is their largest operational ship, built to operate Forager vertical takeoff and landing interceptors, as well as anti-submarine warfare helicopters. The 4th unit of the Kiev-class carriers is currently on sea trials. The 65,000-ton Leonid Brezhnev, an evolutionary step in the Soviet aircraft carrier program, is being fitted out. It has a larger angled flight deck than the Kiev-class carriers, deck-edge aircraft elevators fore and aft of the starboard island superstructure, and has a broad upturned bow, similar in configuration to a ski jump ramp, possibly for launch of the new generations of carrier aircraft. Combat ship output during 1986 was particularly impressive. A new submarine was produced about every 40 days, including the 2nd Akula and Sierra submarines. They completed their 4th Delta class and 5th Typhoon class submarines. 1 guided missile destroyer and 1 nuclear-powered cruiser were also launched. Other new major surface combatants are also being built to support the USSR's naval strategy. The Frunze, a nuclear-powered guided missile cruiser, is a striking example. It has a 28,000-ton displacement and is 248 meters long. The Frunze carries anti-submarine rockets, 96 vertically launched SAMs, 20 vertically launched nuclear-capable 550-kilometer range surface-to-surface missiles, point defense Gatling guns, a twin-barrel 130-millimeter gun, and landing platform and handling facilities for ASW helicopters. To appreciate the commitment that the USSR makes to its armed forces, it is relevant to compare their weapon systems to the systems that the United States is producing. Looking at the activity of the last 10 years, the USSR built 3,000 ICBMs and SLBMs, the US 850. In surface-to-air missiles, the USSR 140,000, the US 16,200. In tanks, the USSR 24,400, the US 7,100. In submarines, the USSR 90, the US 43. In artillery, the USSR 28,200, the US 2,750. Clearly, the Soviets foster the growth and preeminence of military power by investing in the development and deployment of quality weapon systems, all without public debate and scrutiny so important in free societies. Knowing the magnitude of Soviet military force modernization and capabilities is essential if informed citizens everywhere are to make the decisions required to provide for the defense and security necessary to safeguard their freedoms.
What we've just seen is the objective evidence of the continuing increase in Soviet strategic, offensive, defensive, and conventional military capabilities year after year, no matter who is the General Secretary of the Soviet Union. And to meet this challenge, the United States, in coordination with our allies and our friends who share common security interests, is taking a dual approach. First, we've established the strategies and the policies and the programs and appropriated the resources that are necessary to improve our forces and to help those of our friends and our allies deter Soviet aggression in all of its forms. And secondly, we're seeking to secure a more stable military balance through the negotiation of significant and verifiable arms reduction agreements. By better understanding Soviet military power and the threats that it imposes on us all, we think informed citizens everywhere will be better able to know how to secure our transcendent goals, which are peace and freedom and security.